Hello.
Welcome back to our dark room where we podcast from.
Because we podcast so late at night, there's no daylight left.
No.
Basically.
Yeah. Welcome back to our podcast.
Yeah, and if you're new, welcome in general.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Erika.
I'm Gig.
We're the kids these days.
Yeah.
I'm breaking out a little bit. I think it's from sadness a little bit.
Yeah.
I lost my cat 2 days ago, so 3 days ago. It's been hard.
Good old Jack. He was such a good boy.
Yeah. He was 15. He's a beautiful Siamese. Oh. It's so hard to have pets, you know? Like, they're so nice and, you know, there for you and loving. But they don't live long.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're going to play a game today. I've started bullet journaling. And I'm obsessed. Like, I'm so obsessed that I was, like, so tired and tried to do it. And I just messed it up. But, you know, I'm still going to do it anyway.
This is your first time. It takes practice.
Yeah. And I'm not very, Gig's going to get mad at me for saying this. But I'm not very, like, artistically gifted. Like, I'm not good at drawing. And I'm not good at, like, stuff like that. So it's kind of a challenge for me, especially looking at, like, other people. Especially on YouTube. I'm addicted to watching bullet journal videos now. There's this woman named Amanda Rach Lee. And she has amazing bullet journals. It's like, it looks like digital art. Like, it looks like...
Well, it's like hand-drawn, aesthetically pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's what... It, to me, is like the same style of all those aesthetically pleasing things we see on the internet as, like, you know... Like, it reminds me kind of like the beauty gurus, like, openings on YouTubes and, like, YouTubes. I'm tired. Yeah, I've just started school, so I'm, like, working, trying to save up money, and going to school, and, you know.
Sorry. Okay, I don't mean to interrupt. I do mean to interrupt,
yeah.
But, how do you... I'm not good at Reddit. How do you see posts from a subreddit? Because for the game today, Gig is really good at answering questions. Like, he's really good at, like... I'm like a toddler. I'm curious.
You were on the wrong one.
Oh, thank you.
But I thought it was ELI, like, 5, too.
I'm like a 5-year-old, and if a question pops into my head, I just say it out loud. I don't even think about it first. And, it's like, it could be anything from, I think last podcast I asked what's the difference between an atheist and an agnostic, and you took a second and you made an educated guess, right? And, like, you do that for, like, everything.
Yeah, I like trying to guesstimate and or use as much of, like, power of deduction as I can from what I already know to come up with a plausible answer until I learn, like, a fact, right? Until I learn what it actually is. Like, because if I'm curious, I'll try and come up with an answer. So what I really like about our relationship is you trust me enough to, like, to come to me for an answer for something that you might not know the answer to. And I can I get to have fun trying to come up with something. Not like it's like, I'm going to come up with an answer to, like, you know, trick you, like an older sibling might give you, like, a fake answer to something, but in the way of, like, oh, that's interesting. And then I do a double thing where I explain it to you, but I'm also at the same time asking myself that maybe that's how it works, right? So
it's been hard because I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I was thinking, oh, whenever I have questions, I'll just write them down and then I'll ask them in the podcast. But I'm so trained in, like, our relationship that as soon as I think of a question, I just ask it.
Yeah.
And then you answer it. So I can't save questions. So that brings me to my problem with the subreddit is because there's a subreddit called Explain Like I'm 5. And people ask questions, and I thought that would be fun to, because like people ask questions and then the person answering has to explain like the person is 5 years old.
Yeah, it has to kind of simplify it in really basic terms.
So I thought that would be really fun to like ask you those questions. Yeah. And maybe while we're talking, I'll think of questions.
Yeah. And disclaimer, I don't think I know everything. Like, this is like, when I try and come up with something, it's like, it's an estimated guess or like an conjecture. No, it's not conjecture, but it's like, yeah, it's me trying to figure it out and deducing an answer pretty much.
Should we just start?
Yeah, let's just start.
Okay. Why does wasabi burn your sinuses, but not your tongue?
So it probably depends on the type of spicy it is, because I don't know about wasabi, but like, for example, with peppers, I don't know why, but like my brain's going and I find this really funny. With peppers, I mentioned this in my pickles video. What makes peppers hot is capsaicin, so it's a chemical that basically reacts and tells your tongue, your nerve endings, that you're on fire, like literally on fire. Your body thinks that you're being burnt, and that's why
it hurts.
Spicy things can hurt so much. So my guess is that with wasabi, and same thing with horseradish, because a lot of wasabi is actually made from horseradish, and real wasabi is made from a root, I believe. I don't know what horseradish is made out of.
Horses.
It's a kind of radish, right? Duh. Obviously. See, guys, I don't know everything.
Sorry to interrupt. There's a meme going on right now where it's like at lunch at Applebee's, like ordering, right? Can I get an I'll take the apples. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. And then the waiter's like, we don't actually sell apples. And then it's like, me, terrified. Okay, bring me the bees. Applebee's.
Oh.
I don't know. It's just so freaking funny.
Yeah.
But anyways, horseradish reminded me of that. It's like, it's made of horse. No, it's made of radish.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so my guess is it's either spicy for a different reason other than capsaicin, or it's just got a different chemical compound because, for example, different peppers are spicy in different ways, right? If you compare it to peppers, right? So you could have one hot sauce, for example, with certain peppers, and it burns the front of your mouth, whereas you have something else spicy with different kinds of peppers than that, and it gets to your throat, right? Whereas, like, wasabi, I've had it where it's, like, spicy in my mouth. Maybe it has to do with the texture of it or the form it's in, right? Because it's a very fine, almost like it's a paste, right? So instead of staying in your mouth, it quickly disperses in your mouth and goes maybe to the roof of your mouth, and that's why it affects your sinuses.
I think it might also depend on the person too, because as a kid, I could like eat a chunk of wasabi and it was fine.
Yeah.
Like it never did anything to me. Now it's like I can only have a little bit and sometimes it really burns my nose. Mm-hmm. But like when I was a kid, I was like crazy.
Well, and it depends. Like the wasabi peas, I really like the wasabi covered like peas, like the dried ones.
Oh yeah.
And those, because it's like a powdery dry, I almost inhale it and it goes up my nose and it feels like it's in my sinuses. Next one. This is fun.
Why do you get back and neck aches for days if you sleep wrong for one night?
I mean, that seems pretty like straightforward to me, because if you think about it, if you're working out or something, or you're doing something physical and you accidentally lift or move the wrong way, you can feel sore for like the rest of the day, right? Kind of like off. But if you sleep wrong for hours, then it makes sense that it would affect you for a long time.
But like, how do you not notice that you're like in pain in your sleep? Like, wouldn't you move?
No, because sleep, you're paralyzed when you're in certain states of sleep.
Yeah, but like, I move around in my sleep all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it depends on what part of the sleep pattern you're in. So, for example, paralysis usually happens in REM sleep, which is the deepest part of your sleep, and also lasts for, I used to know a lot about sleep, up to 90 minutes. I think the longest, because it goes in patterns, and you go into REM sleep multiple times a night, and the longer you sleep, the longer each time the pattern goes over, the longer the REM cycle is every time.
And apparently you only dream for like 3 or 4 minutes a night.
I actually don't think that's true.
Oh, well, the internet lied to me.
Yeah, I think, because like I said, REM is when you're having dreams, and you can have, that's why your eyes are moving rapidly. You actually have dreams during non-REM sleep, but it's not as like significant, and probably less likely for you to remember it when you're awake.
Why do we like remember dreams when we first wake up, but like they leave immediately?
Because I used to know a lot about this. Because it's like something that you're trying to memorize, right? So if you learn something new and you don't try to remember it, you're not going to remember it, right? So if something happens and it's not significant, you're not going to remember it, right? A dream is just a thought that is very real, because your brain is basically acting as if it's real because of the state that your body is in. I have a book on lucid dreaming, and it's written by a sleep doctor, and so I've never finished the book, and I've started it like 4 or 5 times, so I've read through the certain part about like REM sleep and different cycles a few times, and I find that really interesting.
Okay, next.
Also, I wanted to say, back to the point of why wouldn't you wake up if you were in an uncomfortable position? So, for example, like, yeah, you might be paralyzed, but also you don't wake up when you're really hungry. You don't necessarily wake up when you really need to pee, because you'll wake up in the morning and be like, oh wow, I need to pee, right?
Yeah. That's true.
Your body learns to ignore certain things.
Why does some jewelry turn your skin green?
It's probably just a chemical reaction. I think
Copper turns it green, right?
Copper, and doesn't like certain types of fake silver, like
nickel.
Nickel. So for example, copper oxidizes with water. That's why like some buildings' roofs are green. Originally, they were like the gold, coppery color, shiny, right? Like, I can't remember, somebody did like a bit or something, some joke about how like, you think at some point people would have learned, hey, this shiny, nice looking roof is not going to last. It's going to turn green, right? But people still build buildings with copper roofs.
Well, maybe they like it.
Yeah, maybe.
Character.
Maybe it's cool that it transforms into green color. I always thought the green roofs looked cool.
I love them. We have so many in Vancouver.
Yeah.
They're so nice.
Yeah.
The baby bottle. Oh, you can't see it right now because it's all
They're working on it, yeah.
But there's a building in Vancouver that looks like a baby bottle. It has a green roof. It's really cool. Apparently it's haunted. My mom fainted in there.
Oh, that's where my first agency was.
Some of these are so dumb. Like, how does GST work? Like, really? Sales tax? Why does our body produce congestion when we have a cold?
That's a good question. I don't know for sure, but my guess would be that either it's a malfunction, it's a side effect of your body being
like almost poisoned.
Being
basically.
not poisoned, but like infected.
No, that's what I meant.
Maybe it's like, see, this is kind of like where I don't want to make too many guesses, because like, for example, my mom's a nurse and she would know an answer like this better than me, and I wouldn't want her to watch this and be like, oh, I taught him wrong, you know?
No, but like, you're literally saying, I don't know the answer, but this is my guess.
Yeah. So a couple things. It's either the virus's way of spreading, right? The virus or infection or whatever's way of spreading. Or, so for example, it might be your body's way to combat it too. Because I don't know if this is related or similar, but like, let's say you have an infection in your finger, like a cut or something, you have pus, right? Pus, like to me, like your body producing a fluid that's kind of similar to congestion, right? So it's trying to get rid of whatever is infecting your body, right? Those are my kind of
your guesses.
My guesses,
Your
my
educated guesses.
yeah.
I guess I could read the comments.
Oh, okay.
When you have a cold, the viruses trigger a form of your body's defenses called histamines. These histamines are meant to make it easier for white blood cells to pass through the blood vessels and capillaries.
So
This has the
basic.
side effect of inflaming your nasal passages and producing more and thinner mucus.
Yeah, so basically it forces more blood and inflames that area so that it can help produce more like mechanisms to fight the infection. But the side effect is being congested, right? And that makes sense. Histamines, because what you take to get rid of congestion is antihistamines.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do like one or two more.
You're enjoying this?
Yeah, I do. It's fun because I learn through it.
It's like almost like you teach yourself stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, what's the logical answer? And then you're like, oh, this makes sense, you know?
Yeah, it's like problem solving with almost no information.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm gonna find ones. You can just talk.
Okay.
Some of them are really bad.
This kind of reminds me of like math, because sometimes you get a math problem. I'm not really great at math, and I like math because it's like a language. But at the same time, I have a lot of anxiety around math because it's like there's only one right answer. And you have to have, like, usually, you have to have a specific, only one way to get to that right answer, right? That's why math stresses me out.
Yeah. Well, it always really upset me when teachers would be like, what matters is you have the right answer, right?
Yeah.
And that you show your work.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'd do it, and they'd be like, but not that way.
Yeah.
But they don't say that beforehand.
Yeah.
You know? That always pissed me off.
Yeah. Because, like, I understand that you might have gotten the right answer, and it was a different way than you were supposed to get it, right? And you'd think, okay, I still got it. It might not have been the right way, but I still got the right answer. The thing is, using whatever way you used won't always get you the correct answer for that kind of, like...
That's true.
situation or whatever you're trying to come up with, right?
I have another sleep question.
Okay.
Why do so many people experience a sinister presence when they have sleep paralysis?
I think it's I'm pretty sure this is one of the like unanswered questions in science that we have. Like, I'm pretty sure we don't actually have a scientific explanation unless somebody's written there an answer. I also think that it's natural for us to, so sleep paralysis is the effects of when you're in rapid eye movement REM sleep. The reason why we're paralyzed in rapid eye movement sleep is so that we don't flail about, this is a theory, that we don't flail about and hurt ourselves or anybody else in our surrounding while we're sleeping. Like, not purposefully, right? Right? Like, let's say you're having a dream where you're swinging a baseball bat or punching, right? It's like your body has developed this mechanism to stop you from actually following through with those actions so you don't hurt yourself or other people around you. I think what happens is during sleep paralysis, what's missing is actually being asleep. We're conscious, we're technically mostly awake, but our body is asleep and we can't move. So any situation where you're where you don't have natural control of your body, that's terrifying. But the thing is, because you're kind of still asleep, you don't fully remember it. So I think that there's like a thing that goes on in your brain that you don't remember, and there's a thing that goes on your brain that you do remember. So you don't really remember the fact that you're asleep or you're sleeping, but you remember all the scary parts that happened and that you were awake. That's my thought.
The top comment, they said, like, this is speculation. There's no actual answer.
Okay.
But they think it's because you wake up and you can't move, so you freak out.
Mm-hmm.
And you're usually in the pitch black.
Yeah.
And when you're freaked out and, like, usually alone and in the pitch black, you start picturing things there. And that's just a natural thing that people do.
Yeah. That's basically what I said. But what I meant to add also is that you're still kind of in that dream state, right?
Yeah.
So you're awake, but I think you're almost pre-primed to dream.
Yeah.
Right? So if you think, holy crap, this is scary, I can't move, and it's dark, and like, maybe there's shadows or something, right?
Yeah.
Then your brain's going to automatically try to put something there because you were already sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
I've had sleep paralysis once. It was terrifying.
Why does spinach have infinite shrinking potential when cooked?
I mean, like, it's like any vegetable or any living thing. On Earth, most living things are comprised of mostly water, right? We need water to live. Our current understanding of life is that you need water to have life. That's why we look for water on other planets, right? So I think spinach, it may seem like it doesn't have a lot of water, but it does. I think it's probably made of a lot of water. What I don't understand is how we know that celery has a lot of water in it, but when you cook it, it doesn't shrink.
Different composure of whatever.
Like maybe cellular structure?
Yeah.
Okay, one more.
How does software improve camera quality?
That's a good question, because that's like anybody in the tech, like, enthusiast industry or community knows that the Google Pixel phones are really good because, like, they've only the first couple of generations of Google Pixel phones only had one camera, whereas by then the iPhones were like having two cameras, and other Android phones were having like 3 or 4 cameras, right? But Google was always the ones where they didn't have to have more cameras to have better, like, raw picture quality. So I think what it does is, so for example, film cameras had all of these physical presets in the camera on how to expose the film depending on, like, light, color, and all of these other things that you could even adjust on the camera, right? So I think the software is optimized for different things, to react differently to the light condition, what colors are present, how far away, depth of field, and all of that kind of thing. So I think maybe Google did a really good job with the Pixel phones at creating software that was very versatile and came out with a pleasing picture quality. Because, like, if anybody knows who MKBHD is, every year he does a smartphone camera blind test. So he'll post on Instagram story like pick one, A or B, A or B, A or B, and then he posts, like, side by side pictures from all the different leading phones of that year, and he doesn't say which phone it is.
Yeah.
And for me, whenever I vote on one, I'm almost always, like probably 75% of the time, the opposite of what everyone else picks.
Weird.
Yeah, well, the opposite of what the majority actually is.
Yeah.
So I think a pleasing photo is also subjective. That's why there is no, like, that's why, not every camera phone company has perfect photo software.
Well, and it's like, being a model, sometimes I shoot with photographers and I'm lucky that they let me pick which photos that I want them to edit.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes they pick photos and I'm like, that's a horrible photo.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I hate it, you know? But they love it. They think that's one of the best photos of the shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it's just so wild how different. Or, like, I'll pick photos and they're like, oh, I wouldn't have picked that photo, you know? Like, it's totally different.
Yeah, people,
taste.
it's subjective,
Yeah.
right? People look for different things. People find different things pleasing to the eye.
Mm-hmm. And it also depends, like, in my case, I'm not looking at the photography. I'm looking at myself.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas the photographer is probably looking at their work, the photography.
Mm-hmm.
Not looking at the modeling, necessarily.
Yeah. But that's really interesting. I actually forget from time to time that most of the things we take pictures with, our phones, that the actual lens, the actual camera module, the actual hardware does not matter, right? You okay?
I'm feeling kind of sick.
Oh, we'll wrap it up soon. The actual, like, hardware doesn't matter. It's the software and the post-imaging process.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you've taken the picture, but then your phone's gotta, like, decode all of the ones and zeros of what the image actually is.
Yeah.
Because it's not physical film. It's just this, like, digital.
Yeah. It's so
math.
weird how we went from that, you know?
Yeah. Well, I wonder what the leap, if it was like a gradient progression from film, like from such an analog process of exposing film with light to now just like, I don't even know how a digital camera works. I guess it's reacting to light, but it's such a, I don't know, it's, as someone who grew up in like the computer age, it's still such a weird thing to comprehend.
Well, between digital and film, well, I guess that this is still digital, but was CDs. Like, there was literally discs in cameras. Like,
Really?
yeah, I had a camera. I mean, like, it was a video camera, but it could do photos as well. Like, how would you write a photo from a camera onto a CD? Like, it's just so weird. They were tiny CDs. They were like the little ones.
So wait, it was like a digital camera, but it used CDs instead of like SD cards?
It was a camcorder with a CD thing in it, but you could take photos.
Oh, I think I had one of those camcorders too. They were like little discs.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so instead of, that was before we had, and before that it would have been film, but like tape.
Yeah.
Like tape film.
But I don't understand how you can write a photo, like take a photo and it goes onto a CD. I mean, same with the SD card, right? It's just so strange to me.
But I guess it's like, there would have had to been like almost like RAM on the camera that was like a short memory.
Yeah.
That held it for a moment as it wrote it using the laser onto the disc.
Well, that's like when I first got a DSLR, I could take photos on the camera, but I could only take like 7 photos without an SD card.
Yeah.
And then the memory would be full.
Yeah. So there's like a built-in memory for the system.
But now I don't think you can take any photos at all if you don't have a card in the camera.
No.
So.
But it can show you a live view of what you're seeing.
Yeah. Without any mirrors.
Without any mirrors. Like mirrorless is
like, I don't
a
understand.
whole nother step too.
I
It's
don't understand
directly
the
onto
science
the sensor.
But
then the thing is, I try to think, well, how does the
words.
sensor work? Because a sensor doesn't really see anything unless you have a lens.
Yeah.
So one day, are we going to have... Because even the little tiny cameras in our phones have lenses on them.
Oh, yeah.
So one day, are we just going to have these flat slabs that can, like, see? Like these weird digital eyes that don't need a lens? I mean, technically, even our eyes, our biological cameras have lenses on them.
Yeah. Cameras kind of freak me out.
Well,
Like, Because I love them, and, like, I understand them, but I don't understand them, you know?
But the other part of it, this is, like, kind of a little bit different, and we can just kind of stop talking about it after this, but I'm a little bit paranoid about things, right? So I'm thinking, well, this is a electronic thing. It's basically a brain, right? Because it's so computationally powerful in comparison to what we've had in the past that I'm not able to comprehend everything that goes on in this, right? How do I know I'm able to understand everything that happens in this? I'm not an engineer. I'm not a computer engineer. And even a single computer engineer who maybe worked to develop a phone might not know all the systems and how they all work on the phone. So how do I know that somebody's not watching me through the camera right now, right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
That
and
somebody...
there's no light like a webcam that lets you know if the camera's running.
Well, even then, if you're smart enough to be able to hack into a camera and turn it on remotely from somewhere else, you probably would know how to hack into the camera's software.
But you see, like, or you hear stories of, like, MacBooks, people hacking into those cameras, and the light flashes really quick, like, almost not catchable.
I've had that happen on my old one a long time ago. And that's when I was, like, started being like, maybe I'll put some tape over my camera. Like, not that I really care. It's like, I don't even have anything to hide, right?
But it's
like,
just
you just
privacy.
see pictures of me doing this, like looking at my screen like a doofus. But, like...
As long as you're not, like, reading your bank info out loud while you're typing
like,
it.
Oh, today, here's my bank number, you know?
Entering my bank account number now on bank.com.
Yeah.
7343
Yeah.
212.
That's like when I sign into Steam, I have so much trouble with the codes. Like,
you have to say it out loud?
I feel dyslexic because I have to be like 5-7
Oh yeah, me too.
8-9.
I turned it off.
Oh really?
Because I couldn't do it anymore.
Uh,
My foot's falling asleep.
okay, well let's wrap it up. I'm gonna do the charity this time.
Thank you.
All right, so if you guys don't know, if you're new to the channel, to the podcast, we try to, almost every time we do a podcast, feature a nonprofit organization or charity that we just shout out, that if you guys want to support us, what we would prefer you do is go to one of these nonprofits and maybe just give them like a little love, you know, or like promote them or send them $1 or 25 cents or whatever, right? These our kind of brand and what we value are supporting people who need it, being kind, that kind of thing. So today's nonprofit is BC Children's Hospital. I think we may have featured them in the past.
We have, yeah.
But
I had my heart surgery there, so I like this one.
Mm-hmm. So bcchildrens.ca is the website. You know, look it up.
But if you have a local children's hospital, feel free to donate to them. We love that too.
Absolutely.
We just encourage people to donate to charities because, you know, other people deserve love and opportunities too. You know?
And a thing that we do on this channel, which we have to get on for this last year, is at the end of the year, we donate the amount of subscribers in dollars that we have up until a certain point. Like, I don't know how successful our podcast is going to get, to a charity. So this
past Christmas, we wanted it to be like a new tradition, that we're going to do every Christmas. Since we celebrate Christmas, but we can just say it's for the holidays.
Yeah.
I'm losing my steam.
That's okay. We had 80 subscribers?
We had 79, so I thought we'd round up
to 80. So we'll do 80. And which charity were we going to do?
Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Make-A-Wish Foundation, right. All right. Thank you guys so much.
Oh, and if you support any of the charities that we feature, please let us know. You can send us a screenshot and we'll shout you out in the podcast. And also, if you have any charities that you want us to feature, please let us know in the comments or tweet us or
email
Instagram.
us. Yeah.
All of our social media and our email is down in the description below. Yeah. And the link for the charity is as well.
Yeah. Also, I just want to shout out, I have like a merch brand that I've started, valuableheart.com. Go check it out. I'm working on some new things for it and I'm excited.
And $1 from every purchase goes to charity.
Yes. All right. Let's wrap it up. We've been talking for long enough.
Yeah.
Have a great one, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next time.
Mwah.
Bye.
Goodbye.